I'll tell you guys the story about a man that made a mistake. We were in Canada. And, you know, we were chilling. We were enjoying Canada. We went to the local poutineery. This is, like, supposedly the one. It's called, like, La Burlesque or something like that. It's supposed to be the one, right? It's supposed to be, like, the poutine place you go to in Montreal. La Benguise. That's the one. Went to local poutineery. So we went to the poutineery and we were like, all right, this is it. This is the one we're supposed to get to. So we go in. We're like, we have 9 people. And first of all, we did a horrible tactic on accident. We all tried to meet up at the poutineery. James and David got there first, and they beat us by like 5 or 10 minutes because we had to wait for an Uber XL because we had like 6 people. It takes forever, right? So then Obama meets us there. Majin Obama meets us there. It's James and David. They're at like the front of the line. So we jumped to the front of the line with James and them, which is horrible. I hate doing it, but we had to, right? We had 9 people. So we go sit down at the table. It's like super packed in. We go to the poutineery. We're like looking at the menu and I'm like, this is going to be sick. And keep in mind that because we're in Canada, I never pull out money in Canada, right? Like I have some now. I have some Canadian currency. Where'd it go? I must have set it down somewhere. I have Canadian currency because of this story, but I never pull out money in Canada. I just use my card everywhere. So we get there and like, they're like, oh yeah, we only take cash, but you know, it's such a like famous place. It kind of makes sense, I guess, whatever. So we go to the ATM, grab money, come back, sit down, we're ready to order our meal, right? And I ask like, okay, I'm looking at the menu and we're in Canada. I don't know how the portions are in other countries. In America, they're absurd, but we're in Canada. I'm like, it can't be that bad, right? And there's a regular size poutine and there's a GR size poutine, which is the bigger one, right? And I'm like, okay, I usually have a pretty big appetite and I hadn't eaten all day, right? I'm super hungry. I haven't eaten all day. So I'm like, all right, like I'm down for whatever this poutineery has got in store for us. And I ask like, oh yeah, how big is the regular? Because I'm thinking about getting the big one, right? So I asked him before anybody orders, I said, how big is the regular? And he went like, let me move my mic, hold on. Like this. You know, he's like, it's like this, right? He said like that. And like when he did this, you know, like I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's not that much poutine. Right? Like, you look at it like that doesn't look like that much, but like, just take your hands and do that. Kind of like horizontally. That doesn't look like that much poutine. I was like, oh, that's like the regular? He's like, yeah. And he's like, and the bigger one is like 50% more than that. And I was like, 50% more than that. Okay. That sounds like a sizable amount, right? I was like, that sounds pretty big. Almost as big as Sajam Schnoz. Thanks very much for the follow. So I'm like, all right, like that seems reasonable. And I'm like, all right, let's get into this poutineery, right? So everybody starts to order, and I'm in like the middle. So like the first 5 people order. They're like, let me get the regular this one. Let me get the regular this one. Let me get the regular that one. And I was like, all right. Nobody's ordered the big one but me, right? I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see. And then it comes to me, and I was like, I would like to order the big one. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'll order the big one, right? This much poutine, it doesn't sound that big. So I ordered it, and I see everybody's like eating around us, and I'm like, that looks way bigger than what that guy said. They must have ordered the big one. So he goes away, we all order our stuff. Everybody orders the regular size but me. And when the first poutine hits the table, I'm like, this one must be mine. It's this big ass thing of fucking poutine, right? It's this fat thing, right? And I'm like, sick. This one must be mine. And he hands it to someone else, and immediately I was like, I fucked up. I fucked up so bad. The plate was humongous. He definitely undersold the amount of food that was on the plate, which is like an egregious mistake because now I've ordered what I assume to be a monstrous, massive amount of poutine, right? This guy definitely undersold the amount of poutine that was on the table. He definitely baited me. So my plate comes out, and Esteban takes a picture of me, and it's called The Mountain, aka I've made a mistake. And as you can see, I got a mountain of poutine. Not like this much, like he described, but it's just a fucking humongous pile of fucking boy, this is a lot of food. And it's just smoked meat, French fries, cheese, and gravy, right? Like, that's all I've got on there. And it's just a mountain. Let the record show that I ate about 85% of this. I ate about 85% of it, and I didn't eat the rest of the next day. Like, it was one of those situations. And the thing is like, when I was eating it, right, I was like, I got to about 75% done, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could finish this, right? I could finish it. I knew I could finish it. I was like, I can finish this. But in my head, I hit that moment, right? Which I'm sure many of you guys have hit this moment while eating before. And in your head, you're like, if I finish this, I will regret it. Right? That's what I was getting to. I was like, if I finish this, I will regret it. My body will hate me for it. I could tell. Right? So instead, I chose to make the adult decision and not finish it. Because I knew that I could. Right? This is too much food. It was fantastic though. I'll let you guys know. It was by far, I tried poutine at some other place I went to. It was pretty good, but this is delicious, by the way. It was so good. I didn't realize, because I love French fries. It's one of my favorite foods. I can eat French fries with anything. But this is too much food. The regular size, I would have destroyed it. Right? I would have destroyed it. Did I take a to-go plate? No, because we ate this at like 10 p.m. by the way. This place is open 24 hours, by the way. Amazing. If I lived in Canada, I would go here all the time. It's open 24 hours, which is sick. But we ate this at like 10 p.m. after the show was over, right? And my flight was at 5 a.m. out of the airport. And you have to keep in mind that you have to get there early to line up for security, because security doesn't open until 4 a.m. So I went back to the room. By the time I got home and I went to sleep, it was like midnight or 1 o'clock. And I had to wake up at like 2:30 or 2:40 to get ready, head to the airport, check in, and go. Because I have an international flight at 5 a.m., right? There's no way I'm saving any of this. I'd have to eat it like 4 hours later or something, 2 hours later. Not happening. But yeah, it was, what was on your plate? Smoked meat. So I got smoked meat, fries, gravy, cheese. Delicious. But obviously, I ordered too much food. I ordered much too much food. It was fantastic, though. I was thinking about making that face an emote, though. That was the moral of the story. This face right here, not a bad idea. You were there the same day as me? That is the first poutine place? Wow. Man, it's great, right? Oh, you ordered the smoked meat one? I forget what it's called. But that's the one I ordered, because Canada is famous for, or one of their eateries in Montreal anyway, is smoked meat. That's supposedly one of the things that is like very popular. Yeah, one of the things, so Montreal is known for like poutine, right? Smoked meat, bagels, something else. There's some other kind of foods there. Schwartz, yeah, Schwartz. Schwartz is good for meat there. If you want smoked meats of some kind, you go there and eat smoked meats. That seems like the thing to do. Canada was really nice. I've never been to Montreal, so I don't have any experiences, right? But it was the most French place I've ever been to in my life. And it was the most foreign place I've been to in Canada. Because I got there and like, so my name is French. And when I got there, I walked up to the podium of the guy and I handed him my passport, and he read my name, which in the United States is Stephen Lyon, but in other places is Stefan Leon apparently, because he read it. And then he looked up and just launched into French. Just all French at me. And I was like, yep, And then he waved me through, and I was like, took my passport, walked through into French Canada. Perfect. You know, I just like no-sold the fact that I didn't understand a word he was saying. I was like, yep, peace. And I walked through. And I walk up, and I'm like, I go through... I go through, and I do like the scan. I put the thing on, you know, I put my passport. Everything's fine. And then I'm going to leave, right? You have to take your receipt and show it to the customs lady or customs person. They like tell you whatever, and then they tell you you're free to enter the country or scram. So I'm walking up, and as everybody does, when I'm walking up, I'm trying to pick which line to go to. And you always pick the line, you know, you never pick the line of the grumpy guy, right? Like, so I was like, that guy looked hella grumpy and extremely French. And there was this Asian lady to the nice who looked super nice, right? She was like, she's probably my age, like early 20s or something like that. She looked super kind. I was like, this is the person to go to, right? I walk up to her, passport, hand it to her, and she just reads my name and immediately launches into French too. And I was like, this is bad. everybody speaks French here. I was like, fuck, I thought that I was gonna escape it. And she just launches into French, and I was like, and she's like, oh, sorry. And she looks down at my name again, and she's like, what are you doing here this weekend? And I was like, God damn it. Yeah, no habla French. I don't understand. My name is not Jean-Philippe. I was like, hello. And I was like, God damn. It was pretty bad. I was like, everybody speaks French. So she was very nice, and she was like, sorry. I just assumed. And I was like, it's cool. And then I left, and I was in the country, and everybody spoke French to me. All my Uber drivers, they all spoke French. Everybody spoke French to me. It was quite the experience, actually. I'm not going to the Philippines this weekend. No, I'm at SCR. Yeah, my dad's side of the family is all French. Yeah. That's why I have a French last name. No parlez-vous Francois. Bass Free says Canadians don't speak French. Yeah, I've noticed there was a weird thing where I've noticed that the French don't like French Canada's French. I've heard about this. That French people don't like the French that French Canadians speak. There's some kind of animosity there. To me, it sounds like you're all speaking French, so I don't know what's happening, but I've heard there's some kind of weird thing there. Fast Free showed up in my chat specifically to slam on French Canadians. That's impressive. It's really weird, but it's cute. Did you just call their language cute? From what I understand, it's like, apparently it sounds kind of unsophisticated compared to regular French. Somebody compared it, I think it was Wooly, he compared it to like a southern drawl compared to like a normal, like, so I have sort of a standard American accent, right? It's not like, regionally there's not much to it, right? It doesn't sound like I'm from the Northeast or the South or where else has a particular accent, I guess, right? There's lots of different accents in the Northeast, I guess, but yeah, I don't really have like a specific regional accent, right? If anything, you can kind of pick up the Southern California in it, but it's a pretty standard, like, big city accent, right? But if I hear like a Southern accent, it sounds different to me than, obviously, than just me speaking like this. And I've heard that that's the comparison between regular French. It's a pretty cute accent. The words are like weird, huh? They just use, yeah, is it like archaic or is it just different? I have a California accent. California accents exist, but I don't have the Valley Girl-esque sort of style of speaking, but I also don't have, I guess it's sort of a California accent, right? The only thing that regionally makes sense is the way we have our, if you listen to, I don't know what regions this exists in, but the one thing noticeably about our speech, different words, they have 18th century French language. Whoa, that's weird. There's one thing about our speech that's pretty normal or pretty common here is words like water or butter or better. Instead of the T noise, right? So instead of better, we put D's in there. Better, butter, water, W-A-D-R, water, right? I think that's something, I don't know if that's in all regions, but in Southern California, that's pretty common. The Valley Girl stuff exists here, but I don't have that accent. I do have the extended syllable on the last thing. Yeah, I have a Valley accent. My voice is just deep. I don't think it's very Valley sounding, right? It's not like, okay, I was like over there and then like this happened and like, yeah, it was so, like I don't have that sort of like Valley Girl-esque. It's more of like a laid back, I don't know what regional accent it is. Montreal is Quebec's main city. Oh, fair enough. You know, I felt really bad about my knowledge of geography in Canada. I was like, I realized I don't know much about Canada. All I know about Canada is this, right? All I know is that on the west coast is Vancouver, and then somewhere sort of east of there, but still near the west is Ottawa. And what other area is there up there? I forget it. It's on the tip of my tongue. And East Canada is Toronto, and then there's obviously Montreal, and like that's over where French Canada is. So that's what I know about Quebec City as capital. Okay, then I'm not crazy. Ottawa is close to Toronto, Montreal. Calgary is west. That's what I was thinking of. Calgary is west, right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I miss Calgary. Okay, so that's all I know about Canada, right? And then I know like up north is, what is it? It starts with an N. And it's like, it's pretty barren, right? Not a lot of people live in that area. Or at least less than the bigger cities. Well, Basfer, you say American are pretty bad at geography, is what you say, right? However, I went to Canada, and this guy, my first Uber driver, was asking me how long my flight, or like where I came from. And I said basically, oh, I came from California. And he goes, oh, like, cool, you know, you're from California, whatever. And he says, that wasn't too bad of a flight, right? And I was like, no, yeah, it wasn't too bad, a little long. He's like, long? It was like, what, 2 hours? And I was like, 2 hours? Do you know how far apart Southern California and Montreal are? It's like the exact opposites of this continent. Well, actually, I guess on the screen it looks like this for you guys. This is like the exact opposite of this continent. Like, that's what he asked me. He's like, yeah, it's like 2 hours, right? I was like, not at all. If you were to drive from where SCR is this weekend to DreamHack, Montreal, it's like 40 hours. Look at this French hating in the chat right now. Bassfree just hating it up. You know what the French are good at? Being mean to other people. Mm-hmm. I see you. I'm abandoning my heritage. I'm just gonna hate on the French all day. What are other French stereotypes? I don't know. Rude. That's the big one, right? Rude. Smelly. Those are the two that I've heard the most. French Canada was really nice, though. I'll tell you what. I enjoyed that a lot. I think I like Montreal about 100 times more than most every other city that I've been to in the US, actually. The only city is I like probably more than Montreal that I've been to is probably Seattle, SF. Where else did I really like that I attended? Oh, I like New York. New York is great. Austin is pretty nice. Boston was cool, but the drivers there scared me. I didn't like driving in that city. I didn't like driving in Montreal either. I don't think I was ever in an Uber driver that didn't break the law. Santiago is beautiful. Yeah, I like Santiago a lot. And Tokyo, obviously. Japan's great. But I was talking about United States, cities in the US, Felipe. Internationally, I don't think I've been anywhere. Oh, Portland is awesome. Yeah, Portland's great. I'm trying to think. I should probably make a travel tier list of all the places I've been. Although, any city worse than Daytona? Daytona just sucks. Like, the thing about Daytona is that it's like, a lot of people brought up racism, which is like obviously really horrible in any place in the South. Not even just Daytona. I've been other places that are like that. But the thing that sucked about it, even worse than that, you know, like let's not even count racism. It's so bad that I'll be like, you know what? Racism is horrible, but like I'll try to like, you know, move that out of the equation and think about the city as just a place to exist, right? Even then, it sucks. There's like nothing good there. The beach is whack compared to Southern California beaches. There's no food options. It's just a tourist trap. There's like homeless people everywhere. Like, it's just not a nice place. Like, there's nothing, I can't say a nice thing about it. The venue is really beautiful, though. The venue is really, really sick. That's the only thing I can say. Yeah, Confederate flags on every corner. Tons of homeless people. The weather sucked. There's no food options. Racism. I wouldn't recommend it. Nothing about that is recommendable, right? Maybe no. That's about it. I'm trying to think if how many places in the South I've been to that are super nice. I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I didn't like it. Uber driver there, I asked an Uber driver there, he was very nice to me. He picked me up, we were talking, everything was cool. And then I was like, yeah, I've never been to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, what should I know about, like, what, you know, tell me about the city. And he was like, oh, it's really nice, blah, blah, blah. We have an election coming up, and I hope our current mayor gets voted out or whatever. And I was like, whoa. Oh, okay, man, I'm sorry to hear it. You must not like the mayor for one reason or whatever. He's like, yeah, I think his policies are fine. He's just a little too kind to the blacks. And I was like, what the fuck, man? I was like, oh. Excuse me? And like, he was like, yeah, like, whatever. He said it again, and I was like, Nah, man. Like, I was like, I don't know. He sounds fine to me. And he was just like, and grabbed this. He was holding the steering wheel and just got like fucking stone faced. And I was like, Jesus, man. Was he trolling? No, we're in the South. Of course he wasn't trolling. Anyway, I don't like the South that much. It's weird. Because I'm white, I don't receive direct racism usually. Instead, it's just like they try to include me in their racism. And then they find out that I'm like from California. And they're like, California, you guys fucking like people out there. I'm like, oh boy. Please leave me alone.